Darren DeVries and Indiana basketball offer another top 10 player in the class of 2026, and at this point, they're bound to land one of them.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. And lots to get to on the show today as Indiana wins the Governor's Cup. They take it from Purdue for the 7th straight year. We'll talk about how they did it and why it's just so much fun to beat Purdue. Plus, Indiana getting some early love in the 2026 NFL draft boards as the Hoosiers are having some success and expected to have some dudes offensively and defensively taken in next year's draft. But Indiana basketball, it's been the news all week. It seems like it's been the news for the past couple of weeks, is the fact that the Hoosiers and Darren DeVries have yet again offered another top 10 player in the class of 2026. And this time, it might be my favorite guy so far. It might be my favorite player in the class of 2026. And his name is Toni Bryant. Toni Bryant. Toni Bryant. Toni with an I. And look, this kid is top 10 in the country. Doesn't matter what service that you look at. He's a 6'9" forward, 215 pounds. He is a consensus 5-star with offers from all over the place. Okay, he's got offers from now Indiana and Illinois and Louisville, Kansas, USC, Texas A&M, Duke, Kentucky. Those guys are starting to get involved as well because they understand just how good Toni Bryant is. And you turn on the film and it instantly shows this guy's got some serious game. And the best way that I can describe him and how he plays, how he looks, and just how he is built as a recruit, as a basketball player, he plays like Kevin Durant, but he's built like LeBron. And not to that extreme. I'm not saying he's KD or LeBron are going to be to that level, and he very well could be, but I'm not saying he's there yet. I'm saying he's tall and lengthy like Kevin Durant. He likes to shoot over people and pull up and knock down long jumpers like Kevin Durant, but he's built muscularly. Sure, that's a word. He's built like that with his muscles and his size and his strength like a young LeBron James. And just to give you an idea, just turn on the film. The guy can do it all. He runs the floor extremely well. You throw it up anywhere near the rim, and he's going to slam it down with a highlight reel alley-oop. He runs the floor well. He defends extremely well. And I don't know what his official wingspan is. I wasn't able to find that. And if you do, let me know. It might be the longest in the class as a forward, not a center, but at 6'9", the kid can just do it all. He can handle the basketball. He can defend the basketball as well. And his highlight reels are just insane. And of all the kids we've talked about, again, this might just be my favorite one, but the Hoosiers are on an absolute tear. They're on a tear of offering all of the biggest players that they can get their hands on. Ones that they feel they have a legitimate chance to get. Ones that they feel are going to fit the system of what Darren DeVries and this staff want to run. Because you have to remember that here. In high school recruiting and in the transfer portal, for what it's worth, you don't just go get the number, or let me say this, you don't just try to go get the highest ranked player because they're the highest ranked. You want them to fit the style and the charisma and the feel and the future of your program. Toni Bryant, I think, could fit any future of any program. I think he's that good. And they're already talking about how he could just continue to shoot up the rankings in this 2026 class. And he very well could be top 5 or the number 1 overall player by the time it's all said and done. So the Hoosiers, after offering all these big names, you feel like they're bound to get somebody at some point, right? And I know some of you are tired of hearing about Indiana offers this guy or Indiana offers this kid or Indiana hosts this kid, but you realize that's a part of the process, right? You realize you can't just go to bed at night and hope that somebody decides to play at Indiana tomorrow. That's not really how this works. You've got to start somewhere, and that's what Indiana is doing. Listen to the numbers that Indiana has offered. These are the rankings of players that Indiana has offered in the class of 2026 for the top 25. Are you ready for this? Current scholarship offers that have been extended from Indiana as of this episode. Number 24, Jalen Montanati. Number 23, Davion Atkins. Number 14, Talon Kinney. Number 11, Caleb Gaskins. Number 10, now talking about Toni Bryant. Number 9, Anthony Thompson. And number 6, Jordan Smith. We've talked about all of these guys. And the fact that I am very, very convinced Indiana is going to be in the thick of it with all of these players. The numbers again, 6, 9, 10, 11, 14, 23, and 24. You've got that many in the top 25. How many is that? 3, 6, 7 of the top 25 players in the next year's class currently hold offers to Indiana. How could we not get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them? How could we not get some of these kids to commit and decide that Indiana is where they want to be? And the best way to do it, we've seen this in the past, whether it be at Indiana or at other places, get them to group together, get them to gang up and say, hey, let's go be good at Indiana. Let's go get that program turned around. And with any sort of success on the floor this season for the Hoosiers, I think you can do that. I think you can bring that. I think you can start to build that sort of momentum and start to manifest that idea of, hey, you, and you. Why don't you come be a super team in Bloomington? And you know who needs to be at the center of all of this? Is this guy, is Toni Bryant. He's that freaking good. I'm telling you, man. He should not be playing high school basketball. He's built to be playing Power 4 basketball in the college level already. And I think this guy is a future superstar in the NBA. The way he plays, the way he carries himself, just the IQ that he has and the body style that God gave him is truly incredible. 6'9", 215 pounds. He plays at North Tampa Christian Academy down in Florida, class of 2026. He holds offers from some big time programs. Others are getting involved. They've realized how good he's going to be. Well, I'll say this. They've realized how good he is, and they've realized just how good he's going to be. And Toni with an I, Bryant, needs to be an Indiana Hoosier. And you just feel that with the resources and the money and the coaching that Indiana has, at what point do these recruits and these players and these families, at what point do they start to buy in? Is it after you win some games this year? Well, maybe. Is it after you sit down and have some in-home visits? Well, maybe. Is it after you just show that you can develop players at Indiana? Yeah, maybe so. But you got to start somewhere. And I truly believe, I talk about this all the time, it's the domino effect. When you get one, you will get more. When one decides to come, more will follow, because who's going to take the chance? Who's going to be the first to say, yeah, that's a place I want to go. Their facilities are nice. Their fans are awesome. The money is pretty good. And I believe in Darren DeVries. It could very well be Toni Bryant. And I promise you, if somebody like him or him in particular decides to commit to the Hoosiers, he will not be the only one. And he is my favorite that I've seen so far in the class of 2026. Toni Bryant, Toni Bryant, has been offered by Indiana. Several other schools are in there as well, but he is now the 7th top 25 player in the class of 2026 to receive an offer from Indiana. All right, coming up here on Locked On Hoosiers, going over to the football side, where Hoosiers are getting some early love from the 2026 NFL draft. Mock drafts, if you will. We'll talk about who they are and why it could be more right after this here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Wayfair. The days are getting longer, the weather's already warm, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's the perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you're working with a big backyard or just a small balcony in the apartment, Wayfair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all. prices that fit your budget. Grab a new patio dining set or some string lights to go outside to sit there at night from Wayfair to help extend your outdoor space. And delivery is free and hassle-free, even for the big stuff. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here again, making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics. Reminder, we're going to talk about the Governor's Cup as Indiana has won that for the 7th straight year over the Boilermakers of Purdue. And so we'll have that coming up for you in just a little bit. But Indiana starting to get some recognition in the 2026 NFL draft, mock drafts and draft stock and things like that. And you would expect this, right? Indiana saw 2 guys get drafted in just this past NFL draft that happened a little bit ago, with Curtis Rourke going to San Francisco and CJ West going out there as well. And so you expect, with hopefully a better team, but I say hopefully a better team. You're just coming off a college football playoff, so it's a little insensitive to say that, I guess. But with the program building and getting better as a whole, that's a better way to say that, right? With Curt Cignetti now in year 2, and most of his staff hanging around, and the fact that I feel anyway, that the team is still really, really good, and you're wanting this program to be relevant and competitive in college football from years to come, you would hope that you would start to get a lot more love and looks from teams in the NFL. And the fact that you went from 2 guys getting drafted to now having nearly double-digit guys at least being projected to be drafted, that's a big step in the right direction. Sure, there's a lot that follows with that. Mock drafts are only mock drafts. You still got to perform. You still got to develop. You still have to execute, and then ultimately you still have to get drafted. But the fact that the Hoosiers are already on these sorts of lists is really a big deal. Okay, so you're looking at it right now as Pro Football Focus, PFF, put out their stuff with the top 10 players at each position, and they've got the mock drafts and the big boards and things like that out there. And you can start looking around at players that are going to be on the radar of some NFL teams, and you start working from the bottom to the top. And Amari Farrell is one who is going to be in the secondary for the Hoosiers as a safety. He's ranked in there at 185 right now in the top 200. So he cracked it. He's at least going to get some looks, and we'll see what he's able to do for the Hoosiers this year. Fernando Mendoza is in there at the quarterback spot at number 115. He is kind of in that 115, 120 range. And to be completely honest, we had an episode yesterday about Fernando Mendoza. If you missed that, check it out, where I think he's just going to improve his draft stock. I think he's only going to get better. I think a good season is ahead for him. I think he was a steal in this transfer portal cycle, and a good year with a possible playoff berth, he could absolutely shoot up the rankings. And just remember, he has another year of eligibility if he wants it, does Fernando Mendoza. So he could continue to build on his draft stock this year and possibly next year here in Bloomington too. Also in the just outside the top 100 is Carter Smith, who's going to be an offensive tackle for the Hoosiers, one that we are very familiar with. And hopefully you see the offensive line kind of perform this year and be able to kind of improve their draft stock as well. We know another name is coming up on that offensive line, and we can start to look at inside the top 100. And these are names that are not surprising. They're not surprising at all. Whether it's offense or whether it's defense, these are ones who, the fact that they are going to be playing on Indiana's team this upcoming season is phenomenal. It's exciting. It should be something that gets you pumped up for this football team, but you hope that they just have incredible seasons. And all of these guys stay healthy, of course. That's a huge factor too. But then they're going to be making plays on Sundays. And that should get you not just excited, but that should make you proud as an Indiana fan. You should be proud that 2 guys just got drafted this year. You should be proud that more guys are starting to get some recognition, and at least in the eyes of the NFL and the scouts and the executives and things like that. And somebody like D'Angelo Pons, How could you not love him? He's an All-American who's returning in your secondary for one more season at Indiana, for one more run with the Hoosiers. He comes in at 42, according to Pro Football Focus. So a top 50 draft boardee. Sure, we'll go with that. D'Angelo Ponds, I just think he's one of the best corners in college football. And the only thing going against him is the fact that he had such a good year last year. He was so good a year ago. It's going to be hard to top that. It's going to be hard to trump what he did last year. But if anybody can do it in the secondary, I think it's the All-American in D'Angelo Ponds. And then one more on the offense, one more on the defense. Elijah Sarratt, again, working bottom to top at number 39, according to Pro Football Focus. Sarratt's one of the best receivers in the Big Ten. There's just no arguing that whatsoever. There is no debating that Elijah Sarratt is not one of the best receivers in the Big Ten, if not college football. Somebody who I think will be first team All Big Ten, one who could be All-American status, one that could absolutely light it up in this season for Indiana, but could also make an NFL team extremely happy. And he's in the top 5 of the receivers on that big board as well. So keep that in mind. That's pretty big stuff. And then again, bottom to top, we get to the highest ranked Indiana player, according to Pro Football Focus, in the eyes of the NFL draft board and mock drafts and things like that. It's Michael Kamara at the edge spot, where he is ranked 33rd and a top 10 edge player in the class of 2026 for the NFL. And Kamara is, he's a menace, man. He's just going to absolutely tear it up this year. And I hope it starts week 1. I hope it goes all the way through the Purdue game, because if he stays healthy and he stays fresh, that's a big part of this too. These guys got to stay fresh. That defense will be nasty yet again this year. Will it be ranked the top defense in the country again? I don't know. It's a pretty high bar to try to eclipse if you're this Indiana defense. But man, you just have to feel confident about it, though. You went and got some help on the defensive line in the transfer portal. Cool. You feel good. You've got somebody like Kamara coming off the edge. Awesome. You feel good there. You feel like you got your linebackers ready to go. You have a linebacker, an All-American with Aiden Fisher who came back. Awesome. You get a starting linebacker, possibly edge rusher from Maryland. All right, sweet. You're good to go there. And then your secondary is going to be held down by D'Angelo Ponds. Tell me where there are holes in this Indiana defense. I just don't see them. There are great offenses in the Big Ten, sure, but you're looking at guys. I mean, Kamara's on defense. Ponds is on defense. Farrell's on defense. I mean, how could you not be excited about the guys on the defensive side of the football who are already getting love from the NFL? The defense was going to be awesome. It will not be a problem for Indiana. It wasn't a problem a year ago. It won't be a problem this year. I'm convinced and pretty positive that there will not be a game this year that Indiana loses and we sit on this show, on this podcast, on Locked On Hoosiers and say, man, the defense blew it. Defense just didn't show up. That was a bad game from them. They got to be better than that. That was unacceptable. I don't think that's going to happen. And it's because of guys like this. It's because of Ponds and Kamara and so many others. And then it's up to the offense to put up points. Can Curtis Rourke or can Fernando Mendoza, not Kerr? I wish we had Curtis Rourke, but Fernando Mendoza is going to be good too. Can Fernando Mendoza get it to his playmakers like an Elijah Sarratt, who's getting NFL love? Can they get the football in the hands of their playmakers? If they can, we're going to have a good season. And it's exciting to see that some of these guys, and hopefully more, will start to get some recognition, get some love from the 2026 NFL Draft. All right, coming up on our final segment on Locked On Hoosiers, Indiana takes the Governor's Cup again from Purdue. We'll talk about how, we'll talk about why, and how much fun it is to beat Purdue on a yearly basis. That's coming up on a fun final segment here on Locked On Hoosiers. All right, final segment here on Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you so much again for being here. If you're listening on audio or watching on YouTube, however you are taking in this show, really do appreciate it. And for my audio listeners, if you are on Spotify or Amazon or Pandora or however you find us audio-wise on your podcasting platform, appreciate you being there. And just make sure that you are following us and subscribe to us if possible, having those notifications turned on. All of that helps us out tremendously. So thank you so much for doing that. and send it to everybody you know, your grandparents, your teachers, your professors, your dentist. I don't care. If they're Indiana fans and they support IU, they need to be listening to this show. So send that to them if you haven't already. And then for all of my video watchers on YouTube, you know the drill. Like the video, comment your thoughts down below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Okay, we're growing like crazy. You're the reason for that. So thank you so much. Well, Indiana officially, after baseball takes down Purdue over this past weekend, has claimed yet another Governor's Cup over Purdue. That's 7 in a row for those of you counting at home, which we definitely are counting here in Bloomington. Baseball took down Purdue, and now the Hoosiers have clinched another Governor's Cup over the Boilermakers. And of course, this is the season-long cup and the season-long challenge is a great word for this, where the Hoosiers and the Boilermakers go at each other in every sport that they can possibly go at. And whoever wins the most wins it all. And Indiana has done so again, as Indiana beat Purdue in baseball over this past weekend. 11-7 is the current score, and there's not enough events for Purdue to catch up. And so it has been a lot of fun, and it's such a good rivalry. One that, look, nationwide, is it honored and respected as much as it is here in the state? No, it's not, and it gets overshadowed by some of the rivalries that we have here in the Big Ten. Michigan, Ohio State is a perfect example, and there's big ones in the SEC, and there's big ones in the Big 12, but I just don't know of a rivalry in a particular state that runs as deep, that runs as hot as Indiana and Purdue. And sure, does it do this in every single sport? For some people, no. For casuals, no. But man, for you hardcore fans out there, whether you're Indiana or Purdue, you want to beat them. We want to beat them, and they want to beat us in everything we compete in. It doesn't matter if it's grocery bagging. Whoever can do it faster and get more bags through the line, that's what we want to do. And it's so much fun competing with the Boilermakers. And I'm in a rare category here where I think sports are better for Indiana when Purdue is better, and I think sports are better for Purdue when Indiana is better. Because look at it right now. Indiana football, dominating. Purdue football, terrible. Purdue basketball, dominating, really good. Indiana basketball hasn't been good. We've missed the tournament twice in a row. Not really what we're looking for. And just across all sports, man, I just love when both teams are at least competitive. I'm not saying I want Purdue out there winning championships. Absolutely not. But I like when they're at least good enough to compete in every sport, and same with us for them. I just want it to be competitive all the time. I still want to win. And I know there are fans out there who think that's crazy. Those of you that say, I want Purdue to never win a game, never even think about winning a game, never even dream about winning a game. And I totally get it. I just like to see some competition. I like to enjoy it. And all I want is for Indiana to compete and continue to beat Purdue in everything we do, just by a little bit. And it's really a lot of fun. So Hoosiers take it once again, 7th year in a row. We've got football coming up to start the next season. Of course, it'll be at the end of the year. You've got fall sports, winter sports, spring sports, all that good stuff. But wanted to shout that out and highlight the fact that, Indiana athletics as a whole, we're just better than Purdue. And we love to brag about it each and every year. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Again, thank you so much for being here. Cannot stress enough. Even in a slower time where there's no actual sports, many of them anyway, going on, and there's still so much to talk about, and it's exciting to be here, and I appreciate your support. Whether you listen on audio, watch on video, doesn't matter to me. You're here every day. You're my everydayers, and I really do appreciate it, okay? Be sure, if you haven't already, we're going to have a squad show coming out later today. If you haven't watched it yet or haven't listened to it, be sure you check that out. Check out last week's squad as well. And then another episode coming up for you tomorrow. Going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so we are back tomorrow for another episode to wrap up the week. So until then, Hoosier fans, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.